FlashForge sent me their Adventure 5M Pro to review, and after a few days with it, I love this thing. It's really fast, really smooth, but let's just get right into it. Now, FlashForge advertises a setup time of 10 minutes, but it took me about 15, and as soon as I turned it on, it gave me a calibration. Still really fast to set up, but not quite what they advertise. Just look at this peel. The printer was tightly and neatly packed with a roll of filament, a power cord, a toolbox, and a bunch more. After taking the foam out, you need to take the Allen key out of the toolbox and unscrew a few screws and then screw on the spool holder. One of the things I don't like is the placement, but it's no big deal. Once I got it all set up, the first option it gave me was to print a test cube. So I clicked print, and this is how it went. So the test cube came out really nice. I don't know where I put it, but the next thing I wanted to print was a retractions test. I found one on MakerWorld, put it into Orca FlashForge, and printed it. And let's just say the results weren't really what I was looking for. This was the first problem I ran into, was that it kind of had an issue with stringing. So I sent it again, but this time slowed down the printer to 70% speed. And with 70% speed, it came out looking amazing, so that wasn't really a problem. They just really oversell you on that 600 millimeters per second. It still prints really fast, just not quite that fast with no issues. Next, I wanted to test a benchy on this, but that turned out great, so I really wanted to challenge it this time and sent it a master sword. So let's see how that goes. Now, unfortunately, the sword doesn't actually come out all the way, but I think that's mostly due to the fact that I sized it down to like 70% scale. But next, the thing I printed was this little gear spinner for a YouTube short that I made, and it actually did pretty well. It was an unboxing of the printer, but all that matters is that the quality on this is amazing. I also made this chainmail, which turned out great. All of the pieces interlock, they all move very well. Everything just works perfect with it. So I think the PLA they sent with this printer seems to be perfect. So let's switch it to something a little different. If you want to print parts in ABS or ASA like this, but you don't have a printer to do it, PCBWay is the place to go. They have tons of services ranging from different 3D printing materials to PCB parts. All you have to do is drop your file in, choose surface finish, material type, and a few more options, which are very self-explanatory and easy to use. Then they'll give you an instant quote telling you exactly how much your part or parts will cost, which are very low and very reasonable prices, especially for materials with this grade and quality. Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video, and I'll leave a link down below if you want to go check them out. The process to switching filament is a little bit more complicated than on a Bambu Lab printer. You have to snip the filament out of the PTFE tube yourself, load it, and then purge it, which is not too hard of a process if you know what you're doing. And as you can see here, once I got it switched, I printed a puzzle tower thing, which everything moves smoothly, everything just works. So it's a pass for PLA for me. Now that I know that this printer can handle PLA really well, I want to test something like TPU. I have a freshly dried roll of TPU right here, and I'm going to load it up in the machine. The top definitely picks up fingerprint marks a lot. Now this is a freshly dried, brand new roll of TPU. For some reason, it looks slightly translucent. I can't remember what brand or color this is. I think it's Sunlu actually, but I'll just put it on and we'll see what happens. Okay, looks like we hit it. So we're gonna click filament, TPU, and load. The loading is really smooth, even though it doesn't cut it on its own. It means it can purge a little less filament, which it's gonna start purging here soon. And even with it open, it's a lot quieter than my Bambu Lab printers, which isn't a big deal breaker because I'm mostly gone when I'm printing, but it's still great that it's quiet, especially with the door open. Okay, it didn't quite get it. Oh, it's still purging. Never mind, we're good. I thought it finished. There's an option to click again, and I was about to do that if it hadn't finished. It's starting to get white at the end of it, so I think what I'm gonna do is call it there. First thing I'm gonna test is the TPU print profile. I'm gonna start by sending this a basic TPU test file, and we'll go from there. The first TPU came out looking great and is flexible in both directions, unlike the PLA counterpart. It's really flexible and everything on it looks smooth, and the little like hinges in it are very smooth. So I was gonna print something a little more practical, like something you'd print more than just a little fidget toy. Printed this football. Had no problems with it, but I realized it's too small to be an actual football, and I need to get this moved because I've got something else. So let's check it out. TPU does not need glue on this build plate. Actually, the TPU I'm using doesn't, and I'm guessing most. As you can see, looks great, super flexible, no problems with it, barely any stringing, which I'm really impressed about. But I just needed to get the printer moved. So for the TPU test, I'd say 100% passes. This build plate really impresses me. It's got so many good features and it can print so many materials without the need for glue stick or adhesion. And they came with a big stick of glue stick, and I don't think I'm even gonna need to use it. So the ABS benchy finished and it looks amazing. All the layer lines are very smooth, and I used the actively heated chamber at roughly 45 degrees Celsius, and everything came out great. No warping. As you can see, the layer lines are very minimal and it looks amazing. And this is actually the first time I've actually successfully printed ABS, and I think it looks great. All things considered, this is a great machine, especially for beginners, as they have an option that doesn't have the enclosure for only like $200 or $300, which is way cheaper than the P1P and still keeps most of the pro level features. It can handle anything you throw at it, being TPU, hard materials, or even something like interlocking or tight clearances. I really like this machine and I'm excited to have it, but tell me down below, what are your thoughts on it?